Aloha and welcome to the Bodhi Tree, Hawaii. If you're online, thank you for joining us. And wow, look at this crowd. Thank you all for joining us tonight. It's very, very generous of you to be here for yourselves, for each other, and for me, because otherwise I'd just be sitting here quiet by myself, probably turned that way instead of this way. And the view's good both ways, but I enjoy looking at all of you. Why don't we take a minute and just get comfortable with each other? Just look around and smile. We're all mammals. It's a little easier to get comfortable with people when you can see them and know that they're smiling with you. And I think everybody has either been here before or has heard some of my announcements, but I'll do them, a couple of them anyway. There's a bathroom in the foyer. There's only one lock at the moment because they've taped off the lock that causes issues. So it's just a slide lock. There's water. We just brought it up, so there's some cups there if you want water. If you want to drink water, we prefer you don't bring an open container in here because of the floor. But if you have, something closed, you're all good. There are a lot of events that normally happen. There's a Monday night sitting here. There is sometimes a Tuesday night sitting. Trin, when is that happening?
It's not happening in June. It will resume in July, after July 4th. So it's the Tuesday after July 4th. And it's the first 3 Tuesdays of the month, except in person here, except for the last Tuesday. The 4th Tuesday of the month is online.
Okay, thanks. I never can get that one straight. There's a sitting here again next Wednesday that I'll be leading, but then I'm gone. I'm going on retreat for the month of July. So as far as I know, unless Trin, who by the way is the director of the Bodhi Tree, schedules something, there won't be anything on Wednesday. And I believe Dr. Tan and Auntie Zun, who lead the Monday, may be going back to Charlotte in July. So there may be a week off for that. There's also, though, a wonderful sitting here on Saturday. I sit at it myself at 9 o'clock. Dr. Quinn and Tim, both really good leaders, always a lot of fun. And it's nice to be here during the day. Are there any special events coming up? No. Okay, so put on your calendar, no special events. But there are other things that happen here, and you can check the calendar. There's Qigong before the Saturday sitting, and there may be some other movement things happening. So that would be a wonderful way to start. Welcome. Glad you're here. We're going to start tonight with just about 5 minutes of mindful movement, but we can stay seated. This comes from Qigong and similar to the 8 brocades. We're not going to do them all, but we are going to do them seated. So take a comfortable position that you can maintain. You guys are fine. As long as you're balanced, it's not going to make any difference. But if you're sitting like this in a chair and you try and do some of these, it may not be so good. So we'll just do about 5 minutes of this. We will not go through all 8 of them. We can start with our hands intertwined. Relax. Allow our shoulders to relax, our belly to relax, and allow ourselves to feel grounded with the floor, either through our ankles and sits bones or through our feet and our sits bones, whatever works. Nice big breath. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a big breath in, and as we exhale, we're going to move. So inhale, and as we exhale, our hands up over our head and really push, almost as if we're trying to get out of our chair. Inhale, and as we exhale, over to our left our right as best we can, or your left, it doesn't matter. We're going to go the other way next time. Inhale. And as we exhale, all the way over. Basically moving on our exhale. Inhale. And up. Inhale. And let our arms just come down very slowly. Back to our starting position. Seeing how our shoulders feel. One more time. So inhale. And on the exhale, up high as we can without hurting ourselves. If you need to adjust the movement, please do. And exhale as we go to our right. Inhale. And on the exhale, over to the other side. Really stretching. And then inhaling. Exhale back up. Inhale. And down. Just allow ourselves to rest for a moment. See how that feels. Noticing any changes in the weather in our body. Okay, this one, again, if you have any injuries, be very careful. You know, those who know who I mean. What we're going to do, we're going to continue moving on the exhale. So this is just our head and neck. I'm going to take a big breath in. And on the exhale, turn our head all the way to the right or the left, whichever you prefer. Inhale. And on the exhale, try to look over your shoulder to the floor. And we inhale. And on the exhale, all the way to the other side, very slowly. Inhale. And look over our shoulder. Try to see the floor, but be careful. Don't overdo this one. Necks are funky. Inhale, and on the exhale, all the way back to the other side. And again, off to the floor. And on the next exhale, slowly all the way across to the other side. And exhale, looking over our shoulder. And then just on the next exhale, come to center. We want to get a little foot movement in. So you guys are fine. Don't worry. What we're really just going to do, I want us to have a little bit with our legs. And it really doesn't matter how we breathe this time. So we're going to curl our toes in. Just get a nice sense of holding them and letting them go. And holding them in and letting them go. Holding them in and letting them go. And just come to a rest. Wonderful. The reason I like to do this is I think we sit more comfortably when we've gotten a little movement in our body to let our body settle. I start this way even before I do walking meditation, just to get things a little loosened up. And no, we're not going to do walking tonight. Maybe next week. We'll see. I know I love walking meditation, but not tonight. Tonight, we're going to practice for 25 minutes or so, and then I'll give a little talk, and then we'll have time for dialogue. I like to say questions and answers, but I hope the answers come from all of you, because mostly I have questions. I don't have that many answers. Tonight's meditation, though, will be fairly normal vipassana. We'll be finding our anchor. We'll be allowing things to arise. We'll be checking for what they are and noting. We'll also be checking for that moment of contact that I talked about, that the Vedana, which I really am not a big fan of saying pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, because that's a lot of intellectual stuff. It's more like, or or eh. Yeah. So we'll be doing that. But tonight I want to talk about, and I'll get to it, I want to talk about the third foundation of mindfulness, which is the thought that happens after the contact, that pull that our brain starts craving for the pleasant feeling to last, or to push away the aversive feeling. Or, this is one that I missed for a long time, when something's neutral, all of a sudden I'm going, well, what next? What will there be? How can I do something? Why? It's like Zuzu, when Zuzu wants to go. Aren't we going for a walk? Yeah? Huh? Yeah? Can we go for a walk now? Yeah, it's time to go. Let's go. I've seen Zuzu with Jimmy wanting to go somewhere. That's the mind when we hit sort of that neutral thing. Like, well, I need some stimulation. Give it to me. We are not going to overthink this. We are not exploring why we're having this thought or what this thought means or where it comes. We're just noticing, my brain is taking me on this path after the contact. So let's settle into a comfortable meditation posture. And we will sit until, what time is breakfast, Trin? And sit till then. Just allow ourselves to settle into a comfortable, yet alert meditation posture. Make sure our body's comfortable, though. And if we need to move at any time, please do. Please don't feel that we have to sit in a Zen posture without moving. But I would encourage you to do it mindfully. Allow whatever's asking you to move to be present for a minute. Not a minute, a second or two. And then choose to move. I always like to start with a nice deep breath in. Really filling my lungs and exhaling slowly. A little more slowly than I inhaled. This is not the meditation. It's really just letting the body settle, soften, and come to a rest. Softening a little more with each breath. Allowing our awareness to settle into our body, just as we've allowed our body to settle onto our cushion or our chair, the floor. And once we feel we've had enough big breaths, just allow our breathing to return to normal, whatever that may be. We're all very good at breathing, I promise. Even if it's a little uncomfortable at times with a cold or trauma, we still breathe pretty well. Allowing ourselves to sit and simply know we're sitting. We're not picturing it. We're not imagining it. We're just open and aware of all the sensations that make up sitting. Weight, breeze, cool, clothing, the sounds around us. Whatever's present is present. This is how it is. Once we've settled, we might find it useful to find a home space, an anchor. This is just something we can return to easily. Perhaps the sensation of sitting, that sense of gravity and weight being connected with the earth. Perhaps our breath in our belly rising and falling, or at our nostrils, warm and cool by turns, or the sounds around us. Allow ourselves to pick one, and we'll spend a minute or two simply paying attention, getting comfortable with it, remembering that we can find it easily when distracted. Just allowing it to be our object for the moment. If we're distracted and we notice, great job. That's the whole game, noticing. We might smile and just return home to whatever anchor we've chosen. Being distracted is so human, so normal. It's not the mark of a bad meditator. Noticing that we've been distracted is. Smile. Once we've become acquainted with our anchor, we might allow ourselves simply to step back, to open our awareness to whatever arises, sensations from our body, sounds, thoughts, visual patterns, whatever attracts our attention. And be aware that this is arisen. If it's helpful, we might note thought, thinking, hearing, feeling, seeing, whatever's present. This isn't to freeze the moment in time. It's simply to remind us something has arisen. We allow that to become our object as it arises and catches our attention and goes off on its own. We allow the next thing that arises and catches us. We're curious about it. We might label it, make a note, or not. And if nothing is arising, returning to our anchor. If distracted, again, you noticed, and returning to our anchor again and again. continuing our curiosity, our exploration. Let's remember that each arising, each sound, sensation, feeling, carries with it that moment of contact. This isn't intellectual, but we might experience this as something pleasant, but not even that word, just that sense of, might be unpleasant. Really more of that moment of earth. And things might be neutral, whatever arises. There's really nothing. It's, allowing ourselves the curiosity of what's touching me. What does that contact feel like? Again, always returning home if distracted, caught up in telling a story. It's totally normal. So smile and begin again. As we continue our exploration, we might become aware of something perhaps even a little subtler. That pull to tell a story. Something arises, we're aware that it has arisen. With that contact, we might feel, pleasant. Not so pleasant. Or, what's next? I want some stimulation. But allow ourselves the next moment when we might begin to tell ourselves a story about whatever's arisen. A sound arises, hearing. Unpleasant. And then my mind wants to say, oh, there's a truck, a loud truck passing by. There's the story. We needn't finish it. We just note that pull. There's nothing wrong with this. It's what our mind does. We are storytellers. Let's see if we can allow ourselves the subtlety of awareness to note that pull towards story, towards thought. If you're like me, you might even get caught up in the story of, I'm not finding the story, which is in itself a story. Note that. Always returning to our home, our anchor, and smiling because we noticed. we continue settling, softening, allowing whatever's present to arise without judgment, hopefully, without clinging, without aversion, simply being aware that it's present, that there's contact, a sensation of pleasant or neutral or unpleasant, and perhaps a pull towards story. Returning always when distracted, and beginning again, simply sitting. In the last couple of minutes, let's just drop all the noting and allow everything simply to arise in this vast open field of awareness. Hearing, seeing, feeling, thinking, all in the same place, all arising and passing on their own, some subtle, some strong, all present in awareness. Shortly, the bell will ring. There's no need to rush back. Just allow the sound to be another arising, along with thoughts and sensations. Just present with all that is in this moment. Thank you for practicing with me. That was very generous. How did that land for everybody? Did everybody start telling themselves stories at some point? I did. By the way, if anybody needs to get up and use the restroom, please do. There's no standing on ceremony here. What am I talking about tonight? I have no idea. Ah, yeah. Now I remember. So we started tonight with some movement and a little breathing, simply to relax ourselves, to become aware of our body and letting our body soften. And one of the reasons the body is the first foundation of mindfulness is because it's always in the present. Your body never lives yesterday or tomorrow. Whatever the body's going through is right now, right in this moment. And so it's a wonderful place to start because it will get us out of that, oh my gosh, I'm leaving Friday a week from this Friday and I've got to put all the, oh, right, no, I'm meditating. Wait. Right, my body isn't particularly concerned that I'll be on a plane until I'm on the plane, and then it'll be on a plane and it'll have its own concerns about being on a plane. And we moved on to whatever arises. And the idea of just allowing ourselves to become aware of whatever happens, a bird outside or whatever. Oh, I just did it. See, I just told a story. Hearing. I labeled it a bird telling a story. Might be pleasant, might be unpleasant. That's Vedana. That's that moment of contact that I always like to describe as pleasant, or I don't want that, or let's go do something else. And that is that moment of contact. That is, according to the teachings, where we can break the chain of craving and aversion and getting stuck, because we notice right away. And what happens once we notice? I don't know about you, but I start telling myself a story. I start labeling things bird. Or I start like, oh, that's a pretty bird. Oh, that one's not. Now that's a truck outside. That's a garbage truck. That doesn't sound good. And immediately I am caught up in this story that I'm making up out of whole cloth. That bird out there may not be a really particularly nice bird. Other birds may not like that bird, but I'm like totally, oh, that bird sounds great. That might be a bird being an asshole to other birds. I don't know. But I've told this story to myself about what's going on instead of just hearing. And I tell the story a lot about Bahia from the Suttas, who goes to Buddha and teach me, Buddha, because he's lost, and the Deva has told him he's not on the path at all. And finally the Buddha says, Bahia, when in hearing there's only the heard, When in seeing there's only the seen, when in the cognized there's only the cognized, then bahia, you will neither be here nor there, that you won't be in between, and that will be the end of suffering. And to me, that talks a lot about the idea of these stories that I begin to tell myself. This third thing that arises right after the contact. Right after the contact, oh, that's pleasant. Oh, I want more of that. I should have more of that. My favorite way of doing this, because I used to eat a lot of ice cream and I was bigger, um, is that first bite of ice cream is wonderful. And my brain immediately goes, more. And I eat the whole pint, and none of it's as good as that first bite, right? But I have told myself this story that I need more of this. That's clinging, right? There are other things that come up. I was amused today because I can't drink coffee afternoon, and I know the consequences of it. So for me, it's like somebody offered me coffee. I'm like, no, I know what happens, and I get caught up in this story. I don't know that that would have happened, but that's pushing something away, right? Even though it's a pleasurable thing, I might, that I'm now averse to in the afternoon. I'm old. If I drink coffee afternoon, I don't sleep. I don't want to do that. So this is where dukkha arises, right? Because we start making up these stories that can never work, that just, it's friction, right? I end up eating more ice cream than I want, and it's uncomfortable. I end up having coffee in the afternoon, and I can't sleep, and now I'm suffering, right? I'm telling my stories about birds. I'm telling myself stories about, that's really unpleasant. I really don't like the sound of that truck. That truck's coming to take my garbage away. I want it to come, but I don't, it's just this thought that arises. And so when we feel that pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, it's kind of fun to like watch what the brain does next with that. What does it do? For me, it starts telling a story. And I don't really want that to happen. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. It's what we do. It's like we all do it. There's really it's no big deal. The important thing is not to try to stop it, but just to be aware it's happening. Because if I'm aware I'm telling myself a story, I don't have to listen to myself. I don't have to take my own advice. I'm really good at giving other people advice. I'm really, really bad at giving myself advice because my brain just goes off into wherever it goes off into. So where does all this come from? I always like to throw in a little Pali just to confuse myself because I'm not a Pali scholar. But this is really basic to the Satipatthana Sutta, which is the basis for insight meditation, which is sort of what we're practicing here. Sati is insight. And Vedana is, let's throw some Pali out there just to confuse everybody. But that moment of contact is Vedana, and that would be Vedananupassana, which is that whole practice of paying attention to it. The thought is citta. And so this would be Chittanupassana, paying attention to that. So really, again, I like to get rid of all the Pali. I like to get rid of the English translations because I think most of them are a little too intellectual. Like I'm really not a big fan of translating metta as loving kindness. I think of it more just as friendliness. It's just less like pleasant, kindness, loving, ick. Right? Friendliness I can deal with. Or the idea of pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. I really prefer to think of it for myself as or eh. Is simply finding a place that we can return to. Because what we're doing in Vipassana is allowing anything that arises to become the object of meditation. If you're like me, you're going to tell yourself a story about it at some point, right? So hearing. I wonder if that's a vulture in the Bodhi tree outside. Oh, okay, wait, no, I got to go somewhere. So what do? I come back to that home spot of being aware of the breath. That's basically it. We're not sticking, if we were to simply stick with the breath, that would not be vipassana. That would be samatha practice. That would be concentration, where we become singly pointed observation of one thing. It's really an important thing. It's a wonderful practice, but it wasn't really what we were doing in that sense. In the long tradition of samatha practice, though, teachers will often assign a student something to as that meditation object. Could be a color. Meditate on red. Meditate on green. Meditate on your breath. Meditate on a candle until that becomes your single pointed focus. Now, in order really to do vipassana as we've been doing, you do have to develop some concentration. Because if our brain is just going off a mile a minute, there's no way we can identify individual things arising, at least in my experience. But vipassana itself, sort of, we center, we come to relax, we soften, we find an anchor, and then knowing that that anchor is there for us, that we can come back, that we can find our way home to a concentration to allow us to do this, we do that. Does that make sense? Super. So I am going to read a little of the Buddha's writing. There are a lot of pairs. The Buddha says this or that, or this or that, or this or that. I always like to joke my favorite is the list of 10,000 lists, each with 10,000 items in each list. But in the Satipatthana Sutta, there are 8 pairs of mind states to be known directly. And this comes directly, and it starts a little, I don't know that I'd start with this, but a mind with lust is known as a mind with lust. A mind without lust is known as a mind without lust. A mind with hatred is known as a mind with hatred. A mind without hatred is known as a mind without hatred. A mind with delusion is known as a mind as delusion. A mind without delusion is known as a mind without delusion. And this is the one that usually hits me a little more. A contracted mind is known as contracted, and a scattered mind is known as scattered. And I think this is really talking about what happens after that contact, where we start having that story. And lust doesn't have to mean sexual. It just could mean desire for whatever it is, that bite of ice cream, that next bite of ice cream, the one after that. No help, the rest of the pint. Well, pints were on sale, so I bought a bunch of them. We'll get another. That's kind of where we go with that, yeah. And so what we want to know is what's up here. And that's where, after the contact, we start examining, like, what am I thinking? And not the whole story, and not why. It's not like deeping into the Freudian sort of thing of, why am I thinking about this, you know? Did my dad put me on the toilet backwards or something? There's none of that. It's really just my mind's starting to tell a story. So what we're learning really is simply to pay attention to what's up there. Because I don't know about you, I'm not really good at it. It's not something that comes easily to me. I got caught up in all the stories for a good portion of my life, and I believed whatever the heck it was I was telling myself. And here's another reason to be interested in it. And it also comes from the Buddha's teachings. Bhikkhu Bodhi, who is a famous scholar and teacher, and who was actually one of the teachers of a friend of mine, reminds us that whatever it is whatever a bhikkhu, one of us really, we're all sort of bhikkhus. It does mean mendicant who have given up things to become a member of of the Buddhist Sangha. But whatever a bhikkhu frequently thinks and ponders upon, that will become the inclination of his mind. And so by looking at what we think about, we can hopefully turn our thoughts to more wholesome things, in a sense. That was something that Bhante Buddha Rakita was talking about at the retreat that he held here. I think that was not too long ago, as a matter of fact. But talking about not pushing away the bad thoughts, because we can't do that, but being aware of them first, and then practicing more wholesome thoughts. So for instance, one of the things we always do at the end of one of these sittings is offer merit and metta for all beings. And if we do that sort of thing enough, trust me on this, what we think about becomes what we think about more often. And then that maybe, and how we act becomes what we think about. So this is one reason it's really important, I think, to spend time just noticing what I think about. And the best place to note where that story starts is right after that Vedana, after that moment, because that's where the story starts. It doesn't start when we're all caught up in it. And I've been telling myself this story for 68 years about who I am. It starts in that moment after contact. I could probably go on and on and on about this, but I don't think I want to. So that's it for the talk. I hope it made some sense. This is the part where you guys get to talk. This has become my favorite part. So if anybody has any answers for me, is it an answer or a question? It's an answer?
How about this? It's
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, please. Or share anything you want. That
so
would.
it's funny because when I'm not meditating and it's not intentional, so I'm not directing my attention to the Vedana. The way you describe contact, story, happens. When I'm doing it intentionally, it's the opposite effect. So I'm on the cushion, I notice that, oh, that's unpleasant. And like it's a sincere, like it's like kind of how you're describing. It's not conceptual. The word is just the vehicle.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, right.
It's just why I describe it that way.
Yeah. It's like